Hello and welcome in, all you 09ers, PCHers, junior private detectives, super dads, alcoholic mothers, and that mysterious stranger at the end. And I just have one thing to say to you. I was hoping it'd be you. It's a Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars rewatch podcast where we rewatch Veronica Mars episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
And welcome to season 1 finale, Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah, in retrospect, like, what a waste of a title.
Yes and no.
Were they already renewed for season 2?
Yes.
So they had already come up with the plot twist?
No.
Oh.
You're getting ahead of yourself. We're not there yet.
I know, but I'm just like, what? Like, he tells them one piece of information. Like, no one
Right.
else gets an episode named after them for providing one piece of information.
Yeah, true. That's very true. But does that... But that sets it off, this episode, doesn't it? Him saying that?
I guess so.
It sends the rocket tumbling down the hill?
I mean, the rock was already tumbling. It just gives them something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like...
And it is pretty funny that they have him and Dick do like this cagey thing at the beginning only, and then it's like resolved super fast afterwards. It's not like you're like left hanging in suspense really all that
Well,
long.
how long can you leave someone in suspense? It's only, what, an hour-long episode?
Right, but I feel like if you're going to do something like that, that's like an episode or two ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, we take it to the grave.
I feel like too much happens in this. I have a theory.
Oh, really?
That I'm like,
in this episode?
there's so much that happens. Like, the mom plotline could have just, like, never happened, and I'd be okay with it.
I'd be okay with it, too.
Like, there's just certain things that I'm like, we could have gotten more of or better scenes of certain things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would agree. I don't think the friends call her Leanne plotline is all that exciting or developed and has a really annoying ending.
Yeah, it's just bullshit. But anyway, let's start at the beginning.
I did want to... You know what? We can come back to it. Let's start at the
go
beginning.
ahead.
I just have background info.
Oh.
But maybe it is better left for the ending so that we can tie it up in a bow nicely and about like their intentions and like the series progression and kind of what they're thinking about like the final twist and everything.
Oh. Yeah, let's put it at the end then.
Okay, that sounds good.
Keith goes to a reporter, says, "Hi, I've brought you this woman that was with Abel Coons the night
Me and
of
this
Lily's."
blonde woman got the scoop.
This reporter is really problematic about sex workers.
Yep, totally.
I mean, the whole show is problematic, and
Yeah,
I
in
didn't
its own fun
expect
way.
anything to be different. But, you know, you want better.
Yeah, totally. And especially, yeah.
It's like, oh, her story isn't enough. Here's all these other facts.
Totally.
And I'm like, interesting.
Yep.
So that's problematic. Keith leaves her there with the reporter, which I was like, oh, like, that's not cool either.
I'm surprised she didn't just follow him out.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like a...
Call her when you're
ready.
ready.
Yeah, exactly. When you're ready. Like, and she'll be like, She's just like going to stand there awkwardly while he's just like, well, okay.
I'm going to read these papers.
Yeah. Shuffle him around.
And
that
then
could have been his... Well, never mind. He ends up reading it. Forget it.
and then Keith comes home and you find out that Keith took a DNA test.
Yeah.
And I sang Lizzo at this point in the episode, which is only minute 2. So
Yeah.
we were off to a good start on this end.
And Keith awkwardly plays house with Leanne.
Yeah, their relationship is gross. Like, he's like, oh yes, like I have a chance to keep my family together and it's important to my daughter. And I'm like,
it's well intentioned, but it's wrong.
But also, like, your daughter is okay with you dating other people,
right? But like
and he should be able to tell. Like, they're both fucking detectives. Leanne's still an alcoholic. I mean,
yeah.
Once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic.
Right.
Analogy I've heard is that you become a pickle. That once you're an alcoholic, you're a pickle. You can't go back to being a cucumber. But you can make good choices as a pickle.
Yeah,
and totally. Leanne's not making good choices.
And I feel like the vodka in a water bottle thing is seems always fairly obvious to me. But maybe I don't know.
But we've accidentally drank vodka out of water bottles before.
That's true.
I've drank tequila out of a water bottle on accident in someone's car.
My favorite moment of all time. Is that good? At Coachella, you've heard this story. But so yeah, we had to bring in, because we were under 21, we had to bring in vodka to the campgrounds. So what we did,
had to bring in vodka.
or else they'd revoke the wristbands. So they make you get crafty. So in our cases of water we brought, we put water bottles in the middle of them that were instead filled with vodka, and you close the case back up. So someone is just having the worst time, and just awful, just like completely like dehydrated, like has not been taking care of themselves. This is like day 2, and so they go for water, take a swig, vodka. Oh god, they're like gonna throw up. They do this 2 more times where they grab water bottles and instead had vodka in it. And it was a lot of shouting for you.
Yeah, no, I would be pissed.
It'd be awful.
But I also, once we got in, I would have labeled the vodka ones.
I mean, no, he just didn't look at them closely because they had X's on all of them.
Oh, and I feel like at the same time, I would be very aware that would happen to me, because I am the type of person that assumes, instead of being that teenager, that kid, or even that 20-something that assumed nothing bad would happen, I was convinced that it would happen to me. Like, oh, someone's going to get caught. It would be me.
Right.
Like, I do something wrong once, I'm getting caught for sure. Like, there is no... We could call that a little streak of perfectionism or anxiety, if you will. But, my therapist can confirm. But... So I would have sniffed every bottle before drinking out of it. But I did do that in someone's car.
And then
they were like, oh, water. And I was like, thanks. And then I was like, oh, God. And they're like,
tequila.
Oh, water in the other one. Yeah, tequila silver, obviously.
Oh, no, it was Cuervo, but not gold.
And I think I was drunk already.
Oh, God.
So it was like, I probably couldn't smell it.
So you're just kind of like,
And I was like, I wasn't drunk enough to think it was water.
Exactly.
But yes, her plastic water bottles of vodka.
Yeah.
That we don't know are vodka yet, but we will find out soon.
And just, I guess the reason I say that is not necessarily smelling the water bottle, but Veronica is like shoulder to shoulder with her.
Yeah.
That you feel like you would smell it. But, maybe she's sneaky.
Yeah.
And also maybe Keith is looking the other way.
Maybe, he doesn't want to see it.
Yeah.
We do dumb things for people we love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I've looked away. From your cheese eating. I have a cheese eating problem. This is just a mirror.
Actually, we've all had cookie problems over the past week.
Yeah. Brenton made really fucking good cookies. Just like off the cuff, didn't even like record them. Like I put them on my Instagram. But it wasn't like a video or anything. No. And they were the best fucking chocolate chip cookies I have ever had.
It was just off an all recipe on the internet, allrecipe.com. It was in there, packaged up. I had to tell people, surf the web.
www.
Now you can't go to the library right now, but
you can go to the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were so good and so easy, and they're all things like they're just normal chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, nothing special, but they're. Oh God, I've ghosties.
I thought you were gonna like something bad was going to happen. Bless you.
I mean, how bad was that?
I mean, it was loud, but Herman's still sleeping.
Okay, good. Didn't disturb it. That's a good barometer, actually, to check. Yeah,
he's a very floppy boy.
Mm-hmm.
Is he dead? He's breathing.
It's always good to check.
Usually
should put a little mirror in front of him when he goes to sleep. No, it's still fogging up.
Sometimes I can't tell. I have to touch him and make sure his chest is going up and down.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So turning a blind eye. They make jokes about how Veronica's mom always likes to set the mood for whatever meal they're having. Like she picks music that matches the meal.
Mm-hmm.
And Keith plays along.
Yeah.
It's like so sad to watch because like one of the saddest things to me is like people pretending to like each other.
Totally.
I can't have superficial relationships. It's why I have really close friends or like a lot of friend groups, but like that middle ground is really hard for me because I don't like the idea of anything being superficial. Like I either want to know that you will show up in the middle of the night and I would show up for you, or I'm like, oh, we're acquaintances and that's fine. And I have generally great feeling towards you, but I can't that pretend. It just makes me sad.
Yeah, no, it's really tough to watch. And props to Keith, but Enrique. Oh God, what's his last name? I just lost it.
Was it inclusive?
Colantoni. Maybe just be really selling that because he just looks so miserable, like behind his eyes.
I was just having flashbacks to club music.
Oh, I see now.
But yeah, no, he really sold that, which I think is a really complicated emotion to portray while acting.
Totally.
And then we get Beaver and Dick at school, and they're like, "We agreed not to say anything." Like, did you see the news article? Because the reporter ended up posting the article that Abel Kuhn's alibi is not. He has an alibi, I guess, so his confession is no longer valid.
Yeah, and it was funny, like, writing it down, and we were both kind of like, oh, right, I forgot about this. And to your point earlier, too, there was like, oh, it was just that. The piece of information isn't,
And then we get Veronica taking Wallace into the girls' room, her office. And she's like, I need you to tell me when Logan's gone because I'm avoiding him. And he's like, how long are you going to keep avoiding him?
Right.
She's like, forever.
Well, but first, he says perfectly in sync with her, can you do me a favor?
Which is beautiful. I'm like, oh, look at that relationship.
Oh, yeah, Wallace.
I love that friendship. And I love that it shows a non-romantic relationship with a guy for her.
Yeah, totally.
Like that she can have male friends. I think that's important. And I think it's important to show girls and teenage girls specifically that you're allowed to have male friends. Because I had guy friends that I got teased ruthlessly. Like, oh, are you dating? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, like,
it's not even conversation on this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, there's just a person that I happen to like as a person.
Yeah, totally. Then there's never
But
anything...
also that's assuming that then you're heterosexual. Like, there's a lot of pieces to that are just problematic.
Yeah, totally.
So it's, I don't know. So
yeah,
it
doesn't ever, like, swoop to that.
It's never been a problem. And then we get Keith and Mrs. Furnell.
Yeah.
And Keith's like, if I have a chance to make my family work, I'm going to try it. And I'm like, God, don't break up with Mrs. Furnell. And that's when Brenton and I realized we only call her Mrs. Furnell in our notes.
Right. Because you're like, oh, Alicia. And I was like, been up and writing her first name.
Yeah, we both only write Mrs. Furnell.
It's
respect Wallace's mom.
Exactly. It's just weird. I mean, because we go over to Wallace's house all the day, so
she
we know her as
snacks.
Mrs. Fennell. Yeah. I mean, she's very nice. She says, "Call me Alicia," but it's just kind of weird.
I don't think I ever had an adult be like, "Call me by my first name."
I feel like I have, but I didn't. I was like, I'm not doing that. You are either my friend's mom or Mrs. Blank. I'm not calling your husband like Tom. He is my friend's dad.
But
Mr.
when
Blank.
we have kids, when their friends come over and they call you Mr. Pyle, it's not going to really freak you out.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not saying it's rational, but just at the time, it was not in my brain to be like, no, you're not a person, you're a parent.
Well, then again, that's assuming your last name is still Pyle.
True. Could be anything.
Yeah, who knows what we'll pick.
Exactly. We got a wheel.
We wrote down a bunch of different names and we threw a dart.
Exactly.
I didn't hit the board.
No.
I'm really bad at throwing darts.
Right, and we hit a Lowe's ad, so that's my last name.
Oh. Okay. So Keith breaks up with Alicia. And I felt so weird.
See?
And then we get Duncan at home.
Yes.
And Duncan's reading the paper. And Duncan, after he gets back from his runaway, is my favorite Duncan.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is good. This.
It's when Duncan gets a personality.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because he's sassy Duncan.
Yeah.
Because then he's like, oh shit, like I might have murdered my sister, and I may have slept with my sister.
Right.
My other sister, or half sister. And also, like, she doesn't remember it, so technically that's rape. It's not technically, it just is.
Right.
But...
And my parents are not helping at all. They are robots, and they're like, well, son, you want us to tell you? Well, you killed your sister. Well, I know, it's tough, but you want to be a good boy now, don't you?
Well, but first we have the mom and the dad talking, and
Yeah.
she's like, are we Republicans now? Because they were having the governor over or something of a different state?
No.
It was California?
Yeah.
Oh.
Who was governor at that time?
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, baby.
But I just love that. Are we Republicans now? And I'm like,
I mean, hey, that's how it works. And Jay Kane is like, you know, we go where the money is, pretty much. It's just like, yeah, okay, you were already there.
Yeah. And then Duncan
How
comes
quickly you
in
sell out.
and he goes, have you guys read the paper? That Garfield, will he ever learn?
Pretty good.
And then he's like, oh yeah. And then, did you see this thing about Abel Coons potentially not killing Lily?
Mhm.
He's like, I want to know the truth. And then Jake's like, I'll tell you, you did it. You had a fit. You killed your sister.
Yeah.
And the flashback scene, Brenton pointed out, looks like he's eating her brain. Because
He's got the blood on his mouth.
he's like holding her head and he's got the blood in his mouth. And I was like, if this was an ABC Family show or now a Freeform show, that is the exact moment the zombies would come in.
Yeah.
This is when the paranormal shows up.
My brother, the zombie, will be back in 5 minutes.
Veronica Martian. And I got you good?
Yep, that's a good one.
Okay. So then...
Wait, what was the one where the guy was an alien?
Kyle XY.
Thank you.
Kylexi, that's what I always called it. 'Cause
Kylexi.
I misread it on the TV guide once.
Oh, so you saw it on the guide without seeing it as a commercial.
Yeah, and
That makes
I
sense.
saw the space and I was like, weird, Kylexi.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
And I was like, I wonder what that's about.
Right. Good stuff.
Yeah, so then we get Beaver.
Yeah. My name's Cassidy. Cassidy. And I wrote in my notes, no, your name is Beaver.
That's not nice. Don't sass him.
No, it isn't.
And he's like, Logan left. They were in Tijuana.
Mm-hmm. TJ. Their favorite spot.
I think every time I hear TJ's, you know what I think of?
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's. And I'm like, the Noki.
I think of Pizookies, BJ's.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Also, apologies. My eye is crying because I got lotion in it earlier.
That's okay.
And I put on purple glitter eyeshadow to really feel like I was in 2004.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
They know they can't see me, but you can, and I am crying.
Yeah.
Just one eye. It's just so sad.
Yep. Emily left eye.
It's not. Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Okay.
R.I.P.
We tried.
But Cassidy is like, Logan left the day I called him by his name. I'm respectful. He asked to be called by Cassidy.
Okay. All right.
Next season,
Where do you think he got his nickname from?
his brother,
Right. But what do you think it was like? We're going to call you Beaver.
like Beavis and Butthead?
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
I don't know. It seems like an older brother thing.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what the origin was.
He's like, yeah, Logan left the day Lily was murdered. He wanted to see her.
Drove back. He would have had plenty of time. It was like 8 o'clock or something in the morning the day before.
And then he's like, yeah, he bought her a shot glass. A baked and ensenada shot glass.
Yeah.
Baked and ensenada.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
If it was a shot glass, why is it a weed joke?
I don't know.
You answered that so serious.
Passed out on the concrete in Ensenada.
Do you remember all the UCSB shot glasses they used to sell? Like the You Can Study buzzed?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I never had one.
I didn't either.
I want to get alumni clothing. It's completely
Get a shot
tangential.
glass, too.
Maybe I'll get a shot glass.
Since we never have hard alcohol in the house, a shot of Prosecco.
Yeah, I have, I was in a sorority.
We'll do a power hour.
So I know I have a collection of shot glasses that spell my name and have sorority puns. And shout out to you, Big, for giving me enough shot glasses to get the entire city that I live in drunk. But I still have most of them,
Well
so we probably don't need another one. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe I should start using them to decorate with other things to spell out my name.
Yeah.
It's going into my late 20s, and I'm gonna use shot glass decor. But I keep them for the memories.
Yeah.
And if we did a power hour, we can't do a power hour. I did
No.
a power hour with the Irish once because I used to come to Isla Vista,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, you get full pretty quick.
Yeah.
But the Deltopia we first hung out together was I started the day at the power hour.
I started that day with my friends saying, "What time should we go to the boys?" And I said, "I don't know." And they said, "Oh, don't you have Brenton's phone number?" And I said, "No."
Facebook Messenger only.
Yeah, it's great. It's a budding romance right there.
Yeah.
Love, something exciting and new.
Are
I
you
got stung
good?
by a bee that day.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just gonna
Okay.
cry over here.
All
My
right.
one eye.
Okay.
I can still read with the other.
Okay, good.
And then Veronica talks to Logan, right?
Yep. No theme song.
We don't get an opener at all.
No, there's no theme song. No. She talks to Keith real quick about it. And Keith is like, we got some stuff like on him, like.
And that's before she talks to Logan? I thought she talks to Keith after she talks to Logan. And that's when Weevil hears her.
No, because isn't it that she is talking to Keith about it, and then he's like, "Yeah, we got enough stuff to like put him away," and then she goes to the high school, and then she calls Keith on the phone, and that's when Weevil.
Yeah. Oh, are you talking about a conversation they have in person?
Her and Logan.
Her and Keith.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they talk back at Mars Investigations, and he's like, "Yeah, the shot glass."
Oh, the shot glass was in her car.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll that's enough evidence to like kind of like get them. I'm gonna like tell the police pretty much. So then
I'm gonna tell the police.
So yeah, that's I'm calling the police.
No, just tell them.
Just hey guys, just wanted to drop a note. In case you're wondering. And then she talks to Logan about that.
And she lies to him about.
Yeah.
Oh, it hurts my heart because he loves her so much.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know.
He doesn't know at all.
And you can tell by the way they wrote his lines that he's so innocent.
Yeah, he's just kind of like,
But
yeah.
so
hey.
pigeonholed.
Right. Like, it sucks that you don't want to be near me right now, and I want you to want me.
I want you to want me.
Yeah. That stumbled out of my mouth. I'm like, oh, there we go.
Yeah.
And that's when she calls Keith on the phone. It's like, yeah, I think you killed him.
And then Weevil's
she
like...
says to the school. And then Weevil is just like hiding out in an empty classroom, just like, I've been waiting here all day. I knew this was near Logan's locker and you would have to come by soon.
Well, he does run security for Veronica, basically.
Totally. But it just makes me think of like Tony Wonder. I wonder where he is. Then he appears.
I love it. No, I'm crying out of both eyes from laughing.
Oh, good.
And then we get Keith meeting with the Canes, right?
Yes. With Cliff.
With Cliff as his lawyer, because Keith had decided to sue the Canes because they weren't going to pay up.
Right. Smart.
And so they're like, oh, we'll pay. And they're like, Mrs. Cane's like, okay, we'll pay, but like, Veronica has to sign this form. And Keith's like, playing coy, and she's like, you know why we want your daughter to sign away any chance to sue or claim the Cane fortune.
Mm-hmm. And Cliff is just utterly confused about.
He's like, so if she slips outside Kane software, she can't sue?
I mean, Cliff would be the lawyer to call for a slip and fall case.
For sure.
But yeah, just
at my first job, someone slipped and fell. Like a customer. Our manager came up to me and he was like, Emily, go to their table and offer them free, like, the commodity we had. God. We were a food service location. He's like, everything, and like offer, like, to comp their meal. And he's like, we don't want a legal case.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I mean, they slipped. Like,
what could happen? That's hilarious. We gotta cover our asses.
I know. It was like, I mean, the caution cone was there.
I've seen this guy all over town. He's been getting all kinds of money.
Yeah, I always wondered why this person, like, we've had other people fall, but this person, it was like...
Watch the wrong documentary or something.
I don't know.
Hilarious.
But yeah, so then Keith is like, okay, I'll see if Veronica wants to, but, you know, it's her choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so he brings it home, and he's like, Veronica, like, the Canes want you to, you know, like, sign this, but this is your choice. And so she signs it, no hesitation.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you know what you signed away? And she looks at him, and he's like, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I'm your daddy, but not like that.
Yeah. And what did he say? He's like, you think that charm of yours is learned?
It's genetics, baby.
Uh-huh. Oh, I love that moment.
I love it, too.
Great moment of catharsis after the entire season of them just passing each other on, like, this parentage stuff and not, like, communicating over it.
Yeah, that's so weird to me because I am...
Yes, I've met your family.
I was going to say because I'm an Aquarius with an Aries rising, so I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm just like, what's the truth?
No, your family would not communicate about something this big. You know what this person told me is not true. I don't believe a second of it. And that'd be the end of it.
Or it'd be like, oh, it happened. Like, let's do the DNA test and find out.
Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. I don't know. We're going to...
I mean, doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
We don't need therapy. We are therapy. Yeah, I was raised by an odd duck, but a good duck to have around.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But then the police come after Logan.
I put Logan and Lamb.
Right. Well, Weevil is going to go beat Logan first, but then the cops come and arrest him.
And
Logan, that is.
Yeah, and Lamb's searching Logan's room.
Mm-hmm. And checking the air vents for any paraphernalia or secret notes.
And then,
evidence is what that would be called, not paraphernalia.
Secret notes?
Yes.
Dear Diary. Quarantine day 4002. We got the giggles.
I picked out Dad's brown belt today.
Oh, God. That's so dark.
It is. We just gloss over it until this episode where they have to remind us that, like, oh, he beats him.
When Veronica,
his dad beats him?
When Veronica and Duncan talk.
No, he just makes paella sometimes.
Shellfish. Crab cakes.
Uh-huh.
So then Lamb's like, Logan calls Veronica and he's like, can you help me? And she's like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And lies to him again.
Yeah, and then
Lamb.
It
hurts me.
Yeah. And then Lamb gets the laugh in his face. It's like, she's the one who called us.
Yeah, like they turned you in.
Uh-huh. But they have to let him go because they don't have hard evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then Veronica's on the beach walking back up. And we get another Tony Wonder reveal here where Logan has been hiding behind this crowd of surfers for God knows how long.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that made me laugh so hard where the crowd dissipates and there's just Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you couldn't see him on the other side of the crowd when you were walking by with backup.
Also, isn't he like a 6 foot tall dude? Like, how big are those other surfers?
I know, just the tallest extras. But I mean, like, the angle in which she was walking up the beach, like, she would have seen the other side. Yeah, I don't know. It was just hilarious. It's not worth analyzing too much, but...
And then Logan tells her that I saw Lily at the car wash, which was the day she was murdered. I knew it was over, so I left a note for her with a shot glass.
Yeah.
In her car.
Yeah. Poor Logan.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
then we get a flashback.
Yeah, it's like, and you think I killed her, and then Keith comes charging down the beach. He's like, get away from my daughter.
Yeah.
He's like, you can have her.
But what I do love, too, is that she's like, if you get too close to me, backup will go for you. And he's like, you're right. And he kneels down and backup's all docile.
Uh-huh.
Which shows that Logan's a good person because backup only goes for bad guys.
Yep, exactly. I forgot about that. That's a good moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, right, you're saying with the flashback, because I forgot about my notes here.
Yes, the flashback. So Veronica and Lily are talking in Lily's room, and Lily goes to pull something out of the air vent, and she pulls out letters from her lovers around the world, including printed, like, Kodak photo, like, you know what your mom printed when you were a kid to put in the scrapbook. Nudes. I mean, we don't see the nudes, thank God. This is a family show.
Right.
About murder and teenage sex.
Right.
But he mailed her nudes, and I was like, oh God. Like, life before sexting was so much more dangerous.
Exactly. They could get lost in the mail. You had to trust the Walgreens employee who was printing those photos for you.
Like, imagine going into a CVS and being like, can you print this roll? I need like 7 of like number 10.
I'm sure there are so many stories from 24-hour photo people that saw some stuff.
Are they mandated reporters in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, God knows. I have no idea. I mean, the job barely exists anymore. But, yeah. Imagine if the mail got sent to the wrong place and someone opened up that letter. It's just like, oh, penises.
Yeah, and you just don't know. Oh, God. So, yeah, mailed nudes. And then, so Veronica's like, oh, shit, I need to go to the Canes to see.
I need to find that letter.
I need to find that letter. Because if that letter is in her vent, then Logan is innocent.
Mm-hmm. So she puts on her best Tina Fey costume and drinks a sip of water on her way out. Uh-oh, vodka.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, God, Mom's vodka water bottle's tricking me again.
Exactly. Son of a bitch.
Happens to the best of us.
But yes, then heads to the Cane as a cater waiter.
Pretends to be a server, sneaks up to Lily's room, and who's watching from the closet? Creepy-ass Duncan!
Yeah. Well, no, from the hallway.
Oh, I thought he was in the closet.
No, someone else is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's what they were insinuating with that.
Yeah.
So, weird creepy Duncan is like, do you think, what are you looking for? Proof that I killed my sister? Like, blah. And she's like, I don't think you killed your sister. I think Logan did. And I think there's a note here that could prove his innocence, in which case then it could be someone else.
But before then, he does his best Dumbledore impression from Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Shakes her.
Yeah, he does. You're about to get barked at.
No, it's just sitting there being nice.
Okay.
Oh.
I know. A mother knows.
Okay, we'll take a break. And we're back.
Had to take a quick corgi break. So, okay, we have Veronica and Duncan in Lily's room, and she's like, I don't think you killed your sister. And he's like, okay, then check the vents.
Right.
And then we keep getting these weird, creepy shots that there's someone maybe in the closet. And they're weird and they're dark, and I don't like it. And so then we pull... I don't know why Duncan doesn't pull out the tapes, because he's bigger and wouldn't need the step stool.
No, I'm just going to watch Veronica do it.
Yeah.
Well, he's just along for the ride, really. He's a little shell-shocked about everything, and he's like, I don't know why I'm trusting you right now, but I'm... okay, we're going.
I always trust you because I still love you.
Right. And,
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
You should start a choir.
Mm-hmm.
Just you. You are the choir.
Brent Dion.
And they find tapes.
Oh, what are these? Interesting.
Tapes from a tape player,
a camcorder.
Exactly. I was like, not quite a cassette tape, but similar in stature.
The little the little mini ones.
Yeah.
Similar in stature. The tape's got a similar build.
I'm working on my police description.
A little smaller.
I don't know.
You're becoming what do they call them in courts where they
like
draw?
the etch people, yeah, like the courtroom sketchers or whatever.
You said etch. Imagine someone with an etch a sketch. Damn it! Someone bumped into me and I completely erased it.
Lost half of it. And so, Duncan's like, "Don't worry, I got a player in my room," and so they go to watch the tapes. And in Duncan's room, they play a couple of the tapes, and one of them is Lily realizing that there's cameras.
Mm-hmm.
The day of her murder.
Yeah.
In her Pep Squad outfit after the car wash. And then one of them is which I always got soaked during car washes, so like I want to know how she wore that outfit all day.
She's got to change a Pep Squad clothes.
And then the next one is her having sex with someone in the bed at a previous date. And we're like, oh god, it's her and Logan having a sex tape. But you're like, man, that looks like a man. That doesn't look like a boy.
A large arm. Hairy arm, too.
This is not the movie. We aren't ready for this. And we find out it's Mr. Eccles. Or Aaron Eccles, I guess.
No, you were just like Duncan on the same page. Mr. Eccles?
Yeah, that's what I wrote down. He's like, it's Mr. Eccles.
Old man Withers. But yeah, that he get it is not funny though. It is Aaron having sex, and Veronica's like, "Oh, I know what happened," and we get the flashback, and it's like, yes, great on Lily to be like, he's fucking filming us. It's like, I'm gonna take the tapes. Yeah, it was so smart. I mean, bad ending, but like totally the right move in that situation. Like, fuck him.
And
I'm gonna get this. This guy's famous.
Yeah, and he's recording his like sex with underage girls. His son's girlfriend.
Yes.
There's a lot of issues with that.
Oh yeah, the son he beats with a belt.
Everybody knows a rapist.
Yeah. And that's the scene in which Veronica's like, he beats Logan, you know.
Duncan's like, what?
Huh? Mr. Eccles.
And then Duncan must have found her after. So she took the tapes. She went back to her house after Pep Squad. She hid them in her vent. And then she went out to the pool to tan. He came to get the tapes because he was like, that bitch took the tapes.
Yep. Wow, good impression.
Thank you. I've been taking acting classes online.
It's a master class taught by Harry Hamlin.
And then he's like, give me the tapes. And she's like, I think I'll give him to TMZ. And he hits her with an ashtray.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I mean, like didn't even try to negotiate. Like, what good does that do? Now someone's like, what if she had left him on her dresser?
Yeah. I mean, but he's hot-tempered, obviously.
But he was methodical with planning what he did to what's-her-name's boyfriend.
Yes.
He was not careful with this. So that's what I feel like he boils slow.
Oh.
It shows that he usually boils slow. So then for him to make this rash move is kind of strange because it's like, well...
Maybe because he's backed into a corner in this one where the other one is a proxy. So he's like, I get to plan this out. I have all the information ahead of time rather than like in the moment where he's just like grab whatever's around and smack the 16-year-old.
Yeah. And then I'm like, but like, okay, so like, let's say she wasn't who she was and hid them.
Right.
Like if she was like she put them in her underwear drawer somewhere like accessible.
Yeah, somewhere easy.
Like, don't you think that...
Yeah, it would have been smarter.
Parents would have found them.
Right. But then even then, that's a whole nother... That's even worse for him.
I don't understand, yeah. So then, Duncan's like, oh God, like, he's like, do you want me to take the tapes? Do you want me to drive you? And she's like, no, I'll go by myself. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, absolutely. Wrong move.
Yeah, no, okay. I'm a small statured woman. I can hold my own.
Right.
If I know someone murdered someone and I need to get somewhere and that person is at the thing I'm at,
right,
I'm gonna leave with a person that's gonna help me to not die.
Right. And she tells Logan, keep an eye out for him. And he's
Duncan.
like, thank you. Slip of the tongue. It's like, keep an eye out for him. And he's just like, will do.
Yeah. And I'm like, find him before you leave.
Yeah, get some eyes on him.
And so then...
Go see Arnold. You're there.
Yeah.
Just go meet him.
And so then she leaves, and then we get Logan standing on a bridge, drunk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what good balance.
Yes.
Like, I have no balance. Or I have so much anxiety that I would think I don't have balance. I wouldn't be up there.
Mm-hmm. No. And if I was up there, I would not be doing those moves. I'd be like, Weevil, this is a very precarious position. You make even the slightest adjustment, I will fall.
And Weevil comes over and he's like, you know what? Like, we're going to beat you up because you killed Lily.
Yeah. And he's just like, okay, I'll jump down.
You're like, sounds good.
Right.
Because Logan didn't do it and now has no will to live.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So beat me up.
Yeah. And Veronica betrayed him, and he's just a sad boy.
Yeah. Yeah, the saddest boy.
The
saddest boy we know.
Yeah, he is. He's a sad boy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Damage people, damage people.
Yes.
That's
that's what he does. A whole host of homeless people is who he damaged.
Who's like... I was like, his dad damaged him. Like, why are you blaming us?
Oh, no. Just down the chain a little.
Yeah, I got it.
The bum fights.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, that was the weirdest episode.
Uh-huh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's really not true. There's some weirder ones, but that's the strangest one-off. So then, Veronica's in her car, and she gets a call. She calls her dad. She tells her she's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
Then she gets a call from Duncan. He's like, I can't find him.
Yeah.
And she's like,
how odd.
Yeah. And I'm like, stay on the phone.
Right. You're a private detective.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, call me if you see him. And then we see in the backseat the face of Aaron Eccles.
Yeah, which is very, it
was a jump scare the first time we saw it.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny the second time.
Mm-hmm. And then Veronica does the best move of her career and crashes the car.
Yes.
Because if you are ever in that situation, I am not a police officer. I don't know if this is like accurate, but what I've been told is that because that person's not wearing a seatbelt, you crash that car, they go flying.
Yeah.
You have your seatbelt on, you jump out, you get out.
Yeah, yep. Yeah.
Do I ever want to have to try that? No, I hate driving. The last thing I want to do is hit something.
Going alone? That's not you.
And having to drive with... I used to like to drive alone. I don't know why. Mm-hmm. It felt safe there.
Well, ever since you lost your gloves.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd put the top down on the convertible. I'm just kidding.
Your scarf and your glasses.
I was driving a 1980s Dodge Dakota with peeling paint or a early 2000s Pontiac Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah.
Car is no longer with us.
No.
But, the truck is, and that's what matters.
Yeah. Ridden in that truck.
To the dump.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like that truck.
But, yeah, she crashes the car. And I don't know why she crashes there. Part of me is like, keep driving. But, like, I also, like, it's a panic situation.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean because it's the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. There's one house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she crashes the car. They both pass out because she hits the steering wheel. She gets up. She grabs the tape. She grabs her phone. She gets out of the car.
Yeah.
And then she gets to the house. She's banging on the door. No one lets her in.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden...
before then, though, she starts hiding the tapes around the house.
Yeah, she throws them in different spots.
Mm-hmm.
And then she noticed that she looks back at the car and the passenger door is opened.
Yeah.
So he's gotten out of the car. And she's like banging on the door, and then finally like the lights come on inside and a man's face pop in, and then the man hits the ground and a different man's face pops in. And it's Aaron Eccles.
Yeah. And then his fist comes flying through at her and knocks her out, I guess.
Yeah.
Feels like you just opened the sliding door and then you hit her. But...
Yeah. And then he puts her in a refrigerator.
Yes.
Which is by far a fear I didn't know I had.
Oh, really?
But I know I have it now.
So I first realized I had that fear when... Do you remember the Ryan Reynolds movie, Buried?
I don't think I watched that.
I didn't either, but this is a trailer. Even better.
I know in an episode of Pretty Little Liars, they stick one of the girls, I think it's Aria. I think it's a Halloween special. They stick her, there's like a Halloween ghost train or something, something like that. And they stick her in a coffin with a dead body.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, like that's a thing I don't want to have to ever do.
Yeah, that'd be awful.
Uh-huh.
So many things. Yes, but absolutely a big fear. And
I don't want to be in a box.
No. Then Aaron is yelling about Joan of Arc for some reason, and that she
was a liar.
Didn't talk to God. She had a brain tumor.
Yeah. Was that like poignant at this time?
I don't know.
Also, it's just because you have a brain tumor, does that mean you can't talk to God?
Exactly.
I thought anyone could talk to God. I thought that was the whole point of the thing, was like,
Right. Like Depeche Mode says, reach out and touch faith.
I thought it was just reach out and touch me.
Oh.
Which is not an invitation.
No.
For anyone outside of this room.
Rescinded. And everybody else that I sent those invites to, no longer.
And then Keith comes and fights Aaron.
Yes.
Keith always gets the best fight scenes.
Because Aaron went on the roof to go find the tape. Because Veronica said she'd hit him up there. And then Keith comes in, like, trying to find her. And Aaron does a stunt jump off the roof, lands on Keith, and they get in a fight. Where lots of objects are broken on Keith's head.
His beautiful bald head.
Yeah, exactly. It goes through so much punishment. And then, they're beating each other with all kinds of things that are on this porch.
This looks like a porch that would be like my parents' second home. It's just like the randomest shit. And I'm like,
Yeah, there's like a seesaw and all kinds of things.
You know what we could do with this refrigerator? We could turn it into a planter bed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And it'd be cute. I mean, no tea, no shade.
And Keith goes super dad mode and knocks him down. But Aaron is able to light the gasoline that he had poured all over the fridge.
Around the fridge. So then Veronica's inside a fridge suffocating because there's a fire around her. And so Keith runs through fire to save her. And then
even more super dad mode. This is beyond super dad mode. This is super dad mode level 2.
And so then he gets her out, and then she pushes him down and makes him stop, drop, and roll, which is something that I thought when I learned it as a kid. They taught you stop, drop, and roll a lot. Like, they drilled it. And I was like, I mean, I guess it's good because, like, if something happens, we know. But I thought by now I would have stopped, dropped, and rolled for sure.
I do all the time. Not for fires, though.
Just for practice?
Just to make myself feel better. It's to control things when you can't control it.
I remember it just being, like, drilled into us. And I was like, I mean, it's probably, like, saved kids' lives.
It's up there with don't talk to strangers.
Yeah, I was just like, oh.
In the kid rule book.
You were told not to talk to strangers? I was told that's your cousin.
I didn't have as big of a family.
Oh God, I don't know where it ends. And then Aaron Eccles gets away and tries to go get in their car, and backup attacks. He goes after him. So then Aaron Eccles has to get out, and then he gets hit by a guy in a truck who's then like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It hit Aaron Eccles.
Yep.
And
he's like, thank God for flower trucks.
And he's like, please help me. And Veronica pulls a gun on them, and she's like, do you have a phone? Call the police. We need a fire truck, an ambulance, and the sheriff's department, because we don't have a police force in this town. And while I still haven't looked up like how to differentiate between the two, I feel like there definitely was a need for both in this town.
Absolutely. I mean, if lamb is anything to go by.
And so then, as they wheel Keith off, he goes, "Who's your daddy?" And it makes me laugh.
It's very good.
And then at the same time, we get Jake Kane realizing that the man who had been over at his house meeting Arnold had murdered his daughter.
Yeah, so he starts screaming at him and wailing.
Screaming at him. He's like, I'm going to hurt everyone you know and love. And I'm like, that's your son's best friend's dad.
Yeah. And
like, don't threaten his family. The kid's the only one left.
Yeah, and Duncan is just shell-shocked still.
Yeah. But also it's like his son, Aaron's son, was dating Lily. Like, don't, like, what? what the fuck? Like, I don't know, Jake Kane, like, get it.
Yeah, well, he just lost it.
Yeah,
right?
but you were okay with it when your son accidentally murdered your daughter, but you're not
Yes.
okay.
It's in his programming. I said he's a robot.
You told your son you did it?
Well, Duncan, you fucking killed her. I don't know what to say.
Could you imagine that conversation?
Right. I mean, he's just pretty much just like, yeah, you killed her. We covered it up. But keep your grades up. You're going to school.
You're like, can't wait to go to college next year. Like,
Right.
you're going to do great.
How's the soccer team doing?
Don't forget to take your meds.
Right.
And so then Veronica goes home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first she's at the hospital with her dad. And the doctor's like, you need to go home. You also have been through a lot. And she's like, I don't want him to wake up alone. And he's like, well, isn't there anyone you can call? So she makes a call.
Uh-huh.
And then she goes home. And she looks at her mom and she says, I called the facility. I found out that you left early. You checked yourself out. You're still drinking. I get that quitting is hard, but, like, you can't be here. I need you to be gone in the morning.
Mm-hmm. You used my college money.
And you didn't even do it.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's like, I bet on you and I lost.
Yeah. That's really sad. So get the fuck out.
And so then mom packs up her stuff and steals a settlement check in the morning.
Yeah. Awful.
With Keith's name on it.
Yep.
And then
Just awful. Literal worst.
we find out that who Veronica called to be with Dad was none other than Mrs. Furnell.
I did write Alicia in my notes at this time.
Oh, I
It was from Keith. I was pretending I was waking up
to Alicia.
and embodying Keith. Yeah, and this made me cry.
Yeah, because she's like, Veronica didn't want you to wake up alone.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is so sweet.
So he knows that Veronica called her and not her mother.
Yeah, it's the best. It makes me feel so good inside.
So then Veronica goes to sleep for like 14 hours.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, like, me too. Same. I would.
Yeah.
And she has a dream about Lily, and it's her and Lily in the pool. And she's like, this is how things were supposed to be. Like, everything's calm. And, like, Lily's in a bathing suit. She's no longer got the blood on her head. Like, it's just them hanging out. And she's like, see, this is how it's supposed to be. And Lily's like, you know what's going to happen now.
Mm-hmm.
And Veronica's like, yeah, we're just going to do this. And then Lily disappears because she is letting her rest in peace now.
Yeah. That scene is awesome. It's the best scene of this entire episode, I think.
And that she's like, don't forget me.
Right. Yeah, and just being like just priming her too of just like, this is going to be so much harder from here on out. But like, I love you and don't forget me.
And then Veronica wakes up at 3 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to the door because there's a knock at the door.
Uh-huh.
And she opens it and she says, I was hoping it would be you.
Credits.
Fade to black.
They're like, oh, we got to have a stinger, but we want to solve the murder. What could we do? Who's at the door?
Which boy is it?
Uh-huh. Exactly.
I'm like Wallace.
Yeah. I was going to say, it was just her neighbor. It was Jessica Chastain.
Just Lily.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God.
This is go full soap opera.
Uh-huh.
She never died.
Mm-mm. It was her twin.
Twin twists are so big.
Yes, it was her twin. There's a twin twist in Twin Peaks.
Oh, God.
But yes, it was her. What would Lily's twin name be?
I mean, Duncan. She has a twin.
I rest my case.
But
Oh,
is
boy.
it Duncan?
Right.
He did find. Oh, we forgot to mention that when her and Duncan are doing their sleuthing together, she's like, "Oh yeah, my dad did a DNA test,
Oh yeah.
and we're not siblings.
Right. So like, undo all those months of therapy.
Don't you feel good about the fact that you only raped me? You didn't also have incest."
Right. Marginal victories for Duncan at this point.
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
It's a game of inches, life.
Are you doing marketing for the board game now? Because that's
Exactly,
what it feels like.
But then it got shut down because that's from football.
Mm.
So overall, what do you think of this episode? I know you said you think there's too much going on, but
I
any
just
other
don't like
thoughts?
the mom part because I'm just like, they should have caught her. Like, Veronica's I guess it shows where her blind spots are, and it's on people she loves, but it's obviously only on her mother, because it's never benefit of the doubt for Logan. It's never benefit of the doubt for even her father.
Yeah.
But it's for her mother.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's important to show, I guess, but yeah, you're right. That doesn't really like pay off in any big way other than like, well, status quo reinforcer, taking away your money. Bye-bye.
I love that Lily gets like a peaceful ending. I think that's important.
Yes.
I don't like that they leave it without us knowing like if Logan's okay. Because it makes him feel disposable.
Yeah, a lot more disposable for sure.
Because now his dad's gone. Like, oh, they could have sent him to boarding school for the next year, you know?
Yeah, you're right. Like, that leaves him, like, his status hanging like with, like, Weevil and the PCHers coming.
Yeah, or, like, is it Weevil at the door?
That'd be great. I was hoping it was you. Me too. I was also hoping for Weevil.
You were hoping for Weevil or Wallace?
Give me a man with a W name.
That's you.
Yeah, I like this episode, but I like the the previous episode better. Like they do a good job wrapping stuff up, and I think the ultimate reveal of who the killer is satisfying. And then the first time I watched it, I was very happy with myself, because this is the only time in history I freaking love murder mysteries and murder mystery TV shows, and this is the only time in my 27 years of life that I was able to guess who it was, even if I didn't guess what the whole situation was of who the killer was. I was very, very happy with myself.
I was very proud of you.
Yeah. So Brenton won Murder Mysteries 500.
Unlike my mother, who is the most infuriating person to watch a murder mystery with. Not because she ruins anything, but she just looks at it and she's like, oh, it was the boyfriend's dad. Right. Like episode 2. And you're like, what the fuck?
It was episode 1 when we watched, what was the BBC adaptation?
Of the house.
Yeah.
Like 7 little Indians, but it's different.
Yes. And then there were none.
Yeah.
And then we watched something. Yeah. It was just
when she watched Big Little Lies, she's like, oh, one of the, spoiler alert to anyone who's watching Big Little Lies season 1 for the first time, she's like, oh, one of the twins is beating up the little kid. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like episode 1, and I'm like, how did you...
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Just got intuition, man.
Totally. But yeah, there's it's not a perfect episode.
No.
So but I do think this is one of those. It's not always satisfying when you find out the killer's identity, but they do a good job with that here for sure.
Yes, I agree.
So I do want to at least hype that up.
Love it.
But yeah, that is season 1, Veronica Mars. I did not mean to drag it out.
You enunciating?
But my brain hiccuped.
You hiccuped. Okay. So, since it's the finale, we did a little listing, if you will, of our favorite characters.
People love listicles.
And episodes. And then some overall impressions, which mine are haphazard at best, but we'll get
all
there.
Good.
So, do we want to start with characters? Or
yeah.
Okay.
I think characters first.
You go first. Who's your number 1?
Are
yours in any particular order? Mine are not. I wrote that. No
so
particular order is listed.
I brought him in. I wrote him down just based on I liked them. I didn't rank them for characters at least.
Okay.
For episodes, there's a rough ranking, but like no, not
You're
hard
not married.
and fast. Exactly. I think. No surprise to you that my favorite character is Wallace. He is just the epitome of like a best friend, and he's always there. And I think to your point also that you brought up earlier of like there's no romantic interest there. He is like purely just, and like he ribs her all the time, and it is just great. Like he's just a great friend, and he's like written really well in that sense to be like that, and that he trusts her so much, and that's like so important to the entire dynamic that he's like, yeah, I don't ever ask about these things that you make me do, like, but like I do it because I know it's important.
I wonder, so I did characters, but it would be interesting to also maybe on the next season finale we could do relationships.
Oh,
Like because I think that's an important relationship to me, but I wouldn't argue that he's like an important character to me. Does that make sense?
yeah, okay.
So that would have been interesting. I wonder,
Yeah.
maybe next time we'll play with that too.
I like that.
I like that. Okay.
Oh, so surprisingly, he didn't really rate for me the first time I watched this, but watching it again is amazing how awesome Weevil is every time he's on screen.
I fucking love Weevil.
Yeah. So it was just like,
remember the first time we watched it, I was like, I want more with Weevil.
Yeah. He's an awesome agent of chaos. And he's doing things always for a purpose. He's very purposeful, and he is very smart, and everybody underrates him, and that's just makes him awesome.
Yeah.
And then he's, of course, Veronica's just backup and bodyguard and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it'd be hard to not include Veronica on this list, who is just aces top to bottom, even with all her flaws and everything. She is a great, just a great, like, especially for like the cable stuff that's going on right now. When you think like high school female detective, like they make her a lot more self-reliant and headstrong and things, and willing to not put her. The only time she's ever really like in a vulnerable position of like physicality or like can't get herself out of a situation kind of thing is really this last episode when she's like has to go mano a mano up against Aaron, who surprises her. But she's never really in distress, like damsel in distress.
No. Well, and I think what I love about that too is that the person who saves her is her dad.
Yeah.
It's not a boyfriend. It's not Logan. It's not Duncan. It's not,
Right.
It's not even Weevil. It's her dad.
Yeah, it's Keith coming in, who's her partner, which is another great relationship, to your point.
See, that's like a relationship I'd have written down, but I didn't include Keith.
Totally. And I mean, she's not perfectly written. I bet there's a lot of people there's like, oh, this is definitely a self-reliant girl written from a man's perspective, but she's great.
Well, and with the sexism of that time, which is so problematic, which we had pretended like wasn't happening.
Yeah,
we were in that post-sexist, post-racial pretend bubble.
Oh yeah.
And I think, which is obviously wrong, but like I'm not like other girls trope, and then how flat a character like Meg falls in this season, is I think a true testament to how she's such a powerful character, and she was such a unique character for that time. But imagine how powerful she could have been if she had been rewritten now.
Yeah. Totally. And it's funny that you bring up Meg, because it was someone that I thought about, and it's like I really liked her on that first episode she was on. As soon as they attach her to Duncan, it's like lead.
All men do, all high school boys do, is bring strong, independent, kind women down.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay. And so just these are not favorite characters, just some character adjacent things. Best name, Amelia de Longpre. Number one. And wanted to just give a special shout out to Clarence Weidman, who never doesn't make me laugh every time he's on screen.
Love it. Worst detective.
Yes.
I did this kind of like the Oscars. Like I gave myself categories.
There you go. Okay, much better.
Best written character.
Oh.
Goes to.
What's in the envelope? We got 5 people up on screen. Who's it gonna be?
Logan. Best written by far. Don't you think? Like I think
100%.
That's like the one character that they were like, you know what? We're gonna invest in an arc. He's the only character that gets an arc. Veronica doesn't get an arc. Veronica stays the same. Veronica does not change. Veronica does not learn. Veronica does not adjust. Logan gets to adjust. He's the only character this entire show that gets to grow.
Yeah, you're totally right. Once they figure out that like he's not just gonna be a bad guy. Yeah, real interesting.
You talked about Veronica. She's most powerful female. And I think she's a really important character from that time. But as we touched on, there's always room for improvement.
Exactly. What is life without room for improvement? I don't know where I was going with that one.
I think for supporting actor, actress, like side character, Mac.
Yeah.
Because they created another female who was self-reliant and did her own thing and had her own quote unquote baggage that she didn't let affect how effective she was, which is also kind of like a toxic masculinity trait, which is how you can also tell that this was a very masculine time, because it's like, look at all these things they overcame, but how they still show up normal, versus like, look at all these things they've overcome and how powerful they are and how they integrate that into being better people.
Yeah, totally.
It's not nurturing. It's just stifling.
Yeah.
Character we love to hate goes to Dick Casablancas.
God,
By
yeah,
God.
just oh my God, just the worst tendencies written into a person.
A well-written asshole. And he, like fine wine, gets better with age. He's going to get worse and worse and worse as this goes on.
Exactly. If vinegar was the never mind.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, thank you.
And then best lines, or like best written, like one-liners. Weevil.
Oh,
Weevil gets the best one-liners. Thank you for attending the Emily's.
Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right about Weevil, though. He gets some amazing ones. The day planner one got me, and that's just the one I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, okay. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back with episodes, bud. All right, we're back. Just had to give some corgi pets.
He's very needy.
He is.
Just like his mother. And his father.
Right.
We're just a needy family.
So fave episodes?
Fave episodes, in no particular order.
Okay.
You think you know somebody. It's the one where Troy...
Oh.
The Troy arc ends. Because Veronica gets the last word. She tricks him. She gets him.
Oh, okay.
And I love that. And because you fall in love with Troy very early on, you're like, oh, like he's going to make her, you get over Donkey by getting under Troy. And then you're like, oh, wait, Troy Boy's actually like a fucking like drug dealer.
He's a drug smuggler.
Am I doing all of them? All of mine?
Oh, yeah. We can go. Do you want to go back and forth? We can go back and forth.
Let's go back and forth.
Okay. So I did the episode after that, Return of the Cane, which is class president race, Logan bum fights, and also it's the reveal of Abel's alibi with the shoe. So I'm like, ooh, I liked all this stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in that.
The shoe is probably the only thing on that episode that I care about, but I appreciate it.
I really liked it.
Okay. For my other one, I have Like a Virgin. The purity test.
Guess what I also wrote?
Like a Virgin. The purity test is our intro to Mac.
Yes.
Who is by far the best side character, as I,
Yeah.
And it shows someone who was handed the shitty cards in life, like running circles around these fools.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it because I'm like, oh, she bought herself a bug.
Oh, yeah.
And also, like, I would have done that. Like, if I was smart enough, I would have then, ran some things and then bought a bug. And
I'm going to sow chaos at this school amongst all these rich people.
Yeah. And I'll have no problems because I'm running it and nothing's happened to me.
So, I mean, we did mine, so back to you.
Mars v. Mars.
Yep. Same here.
Because
I like it. We are aligned.
Carrie Bishop.
Yes.
Adam Scott being the world's creepiest teacher who's the same age as the students.
Suck it to me, baby.
It's the one time Veronica's wrong and misjudges a character. And I think it's important because it humanizes her.
Yeah.
And I also think it's important because it's a reminder for her to, even when you find the facts, sometimes there's a deeper story behind just like what is surface level. So like, well, granted, it wasn't Carrie that was assaulted. Someone was.
Yes.
So it's kind of like a reminder that we make decisions based on only what we can see. But like, we only have the tip of the iceberg unless we're actually involved.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, is just, she's sticking her neck out based on feeling alone just because she like likes a person.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. And it's also, it's just showing that the adults in charge are not always someone that you want to side with or trust.
Yeah. And I think it also shows her lack of trust in other women.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because of this
attack. It's a hard lesson.
Yeah. It is definitely illuminating.
Yeah. And also creepily shows like how these people groom like women.
Yes. There's a very, very specific character for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Mars vs. Mars.
Yep.
Next I have Betty and Veronica. Is that also on yours?
Yep. Uh-huh.
I love that one's just fun.
It is.
It's joyful. It's jovial. It's like if this was an ABC Family show, what you would get more of.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
Like early Riverdale.
Totally. It's fantastic.
And it's just like, because that's the one where she goes to the school vice principal calls her in. He's like, hey, someone stole our parrot. And then she goes to the other school to go figure out who took the parrot. And then find out that Wallace took the fucking goat. And it's a whole thing. And just like the twist at the end with like it being the person on their own team.
Right.
Because he wanted to start and Wallace had taken that away from him. And it shows how a fear of scarcity, which is a key theme for me right now in life, drives people to do stupid shit.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's like, I can't be successful if Wallace is successful because he has this thing. It's why I'm like really anti-competitive sports a lot of the time. Like, I think team sports specifically.
Yeah, they operate on a scarcity mindset.
Well, and it's you work really hard to be a part, like you're a family or like a clique or whatever, but then like you're then ranked within your family.
Totally.
Which is toxic.
Yeah, and there's always one person on the team that everybody else has to work towards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't, like, you're either all a family and you're all working towards it, or like when you work in that way, then you're like, hey, I feel so supported that I feel safe saying that it's okay that Wallace is better than me because I still am validated for who I am, instead of you better work harder.
Right. You know, no fan of Tom Brady, but he operates under the assumption of I want to win. So that's why Patriots always have like really stock talent. Like he's not like that good of a quarterback. He's good at play calls and he's good at like checking like close by. But he has consistently been underpaid, so they can afford the cap to have players and better players to like recruit for the team.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By that he's still making millions.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And he's also married to Giselle, who like runs laps around how much he makes.
Mm-hmm.
So. I mean, I'm not a fan of Tom Brady. I'm not a fan of the Patriots, but they're operating on the opposite of that and have been winners.
Yeah, I think it's one thing to be competitive against another team, and it's another thing to be competitive within your own team, and that's where the toxicity lies.
Totally.
That's where the scarcity lies.
Mm-hmm. But I think this episode is probably the most fun on my list.
Mm-hmm. And then my last one.
I'm gonna guess. Is it Weapons of Class Destruction?
It is.
Yeah.
Is it on your list?
Yeah. That if I was gonna rank one, that would be my number one.
You know what's funny is that I know it's really illuminating in the sense of like at the time, because we still haven't solved this whole like kids sending in bomb threats or like school shooting problem.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a problem, and it's domestic terrorism, but that's fine. We'll, get it together eventually, U.S. Right. At least right now, no one's getting hurt at school.
Because you can't go.
Can't go. But beside that, there's also just so much in Veronica's love life.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a little bit trashy in a good way that I'm like, yeah. Like she's like with Leo and then she like kisses Logan and then she's like, oh, I can't be. And she's honest with Leo, which is important.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I guess she's honest with Leo in the next one because that's the one with the dogs.
Right. Yeah. But still, this is when the kiss happens and it's like, oh no. Well, make out. It's not a kiss.
No, it's not. It started out with a kiss. How did it end up like this?
It was only a kiss. But and then I do also like that it's like just because the kid is a loner, he's not. They don't actually make him like the
Yeah,
bomber or
he's not
anything.
actually anything, and he's not even a loner. He's just like
Yeah.
a tough kid.
Yeah, exactly. Who's nerdy over martial arts movies and swords.
He would fit in really well with my family.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I've
Especially post bullying days where he seems like he's calmed down a little bit.
been. Yeah.
But yeah, and you know it. You love him. JTT.
I know. Anything with JTT is all you, baby. All you.
But this episode stands on its own merits without JTT in the mix, I'd say.
Okay.
Even without JTT, this would still be a humdinger is what came to my mind.
Gee Willikers, Pa,
Yeah,
tell us
exactly.
more.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying we'd open up a can of pop.
Honorable mentions go to
Mm-hmm.
Clash of the Tritons.
Oh. Okay.
Because I really liked the whole fake ID. Like that she was like, you think I did that shitty of a job?
Yeah,
And that's
is
when
good.
she starts spying on she finds out a lot of good dirt. That's when we start spying on the school counselor.
Uh-huh.
So I like that.
Yeah.
And also I didn't write it down, but the Mooncalf Collective holds a very special place in my heart.
Okay.
Because it's so bad.
Was that one? Crap. I didn't write down the name, but yeah. Okay. Yeah.
With Casey.
Mm-hmm.
I just really like Aaron Samuels from Mean Girls.
So yeah, my 2 honorable mentions. It's also funny because I wrote down 7 and then narrowed down the list. Eccles Family Christmas.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, poker game. Great one.
Oh, that is a good one. I didn't even think of that one.
Yeah. And
So much has happened.
exactly.
I think it's because for me, it doesn't drive the plot.
Right. Exactly.
It's just it's a fun one, and it's not as jovial as the Mars v Mars one. So then I'm like, oh, it's gone.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's not as that.
But it is a good one.
It didn't take up my fun slot, so then that's why it's an honorable mention. And then the other one is A Trip to the Dentist. I think it's plays better for the revealing of stuff than the last episode does. Through those like intertwining flashbacks and like different perspectives that are unreliable. I think is fun, and you get to bring back all those guest stars to then like interweave. So it's not my favorite, but it's still a good one.
Yeah, my biggest reservation with A Trip to the Dentist is the Duncan scenes.
Oh,
And and they make me laugh so hard that it like really throws me off for the rest of the episode.
Because you're my sister.
Yeah, exactly. Oh god, it's great.
Yeah. But yeah, what are your overall impressions of season 1 then?
Well, I know that we have learned that Veronica had blacked out consensual sex, which isn't a thing. She was raped. Drunk consent is not consent. Drugged consent is not consent. I will scream that from the rooftops.
Yeah.
With a very fucked up Duncan. But so I still feel like that's not resolved, like emotionally for me.
Yeah.
The trauma
totally.
point still sits.
Yeah.
And it lives in my body. But I love that we have an ending to Lily's murder. I think it's really, the arc for that is really beautiful, and the flashbacks are always done really well. I have a hard time with how they portray Duncan's quote unquote mental illness.
Yeah.
Because it's very ignorant,
And
it's very, I don't know, I find it offensive.
it is.
It feels like a 90s soap opera when it comes to his mental illness.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like as the
that he
world
has
turns.
that he has these fits, quote unquote.
And I'm trying to think if there's, I love, like I mentioned, Veronica and Veronica and Weevil too, but Veronica and Wallace. I do love, what I love about Veronica and Weevil is that he calls her on her shit at the beginning when he's like, you don't think you're one of them. Like, what are you?
Oh yeah.
But
he's really good at, he's the only peer that like checks her.
But I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like really pops out for me. I mean, we love Keith.
Yeah, totally. I think that parent-daughter relationship is super awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like the amount of trust in their relationship too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important as it builds.
Totally. And I think it's important showing that they both get that back and forth is because he trusts her.
Mm-hmm.
And that the reason they are so close and able to work like that is entirely trust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's like important, especially for even teens, right? Like that's like what you want.
Well, and you're more likely to act out if someone doesn't trust you.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
that's Logan's character. You
Right.
don't trust me? Okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like Duncan when he explodes.
Yeah, and Logan's family just does not care about him one iota.
Yeah, God, what a mess.
Yeah.
Well, anything from you?
Yeah. I think that central mystery is really good. It is pretty ballsy to wrap it up in the first season, but it makes that first season really pop a lot more.
When
that you
it's
get
neat.
that exactly, you get that resolution a lot better.
And they sunk you in so well with the characters that you don't care.
Totally. Mm-hmm. That like you can go forward with these characters now that are all, for the most part, like written really everybody's very charismatic. That's how I'd say these. Like while there's a lot of inconsistent characterization, everybody's really interesting to watch for the most part because there's like these good like one-liners popping out. So it's well written in that like Tarantino sense where it's really quotable. And I think that's interesting, even if like there's stuff that are like problematic. So it's always fun to watch minute to minute.
Yes.
And I also think this is a good check for me as someone who doesn't watch cable shows as much anymore, and instead streaming. I think it's a good like comparison to make because this is a 22 episode season, and that stuff is evolving as they're like creating the show. So where you get something on like Netflix where it's like 8 to 12 episodes, that's a very tightly written show, and there's not like deviations or stuff. Like things are planned a little bit more from the beginning. So it's interesting, and I have to like check some of my perfectionism on like characterization episode to episode because they're working on it and things are being like solidified. So even though there's certain stuff like Veronica comes out fully formed, it was interesting to watch like the show grow and like really find its footing. I think it was like episode 6, which was we wrote it down. You wrote the episode 5 before, which was fun. But the one with the class is when it really like clicked for me.
Clash of the Titans.
The
Mars v. Mars.
The class president race.
Oh.
Return of the Cane. So it's because I don't watch. We just don't watch cable shows anymore, like this. So it's like funny to like remember how that is, where there are more times for just like here's a character-centered episode, and we're just gonna have fun. Because I used to find that stuff drove me like crazy.
Because you wanted to know, and you wanted that story.
Exactly, and like now I can find that more enjoyable, and it's like some of the stuff that's a little bit more lost in those tight like more miniseries-esque stuff. And even the deviations on those aren't like, they're a little bit more rigid, I guess.
You could really get to marinate in things in this.
Yeah, totally.
What I've liked about this is the first time we watched it, we binge watched. We watched it while moving, and we literally watched the entire series and the movie in like less than a month. And which if you got the time, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It was quite enjoyable. It inspired us to do this. But watching it episode by episode has let me like sit with my ideas and like forget little pieces, which is what it was like when like I remember watching like Gilmore Girls as it came out, and you're like, oh, like what happened last week, and then you're like, oh yeah, and you're like, wait, are we gonna pick that back up? Like when did we put it down? Whereas like when you binge watch, you don't have that strict mentality of like where one story starts and another ends.
Right.
Which works really well with a show like this when you have a big picture and then a small like episode by episode mystery.
Yeah, totally. Those like cases of the week, like you then like are like have it in the back of your mind of like what's going on, but you can still like lock in each week.
What I like about that too is it lets me get distracted.
Yeah.
Like I forget about Lily, and then I'm like, oh shit, like that's why we're here at Joel's Day.
Right.
And then I'm like, or I forget about the case of the week because we get deep into some Lily stuff, and then I'm like, oh yeah, we're still looking for Logan's mom, and I'm like, oh.
Right. That's what we're carrying over. That's a good point.
So yeah. That's what I got.
Cool. So I did want to leave us with some info on the finale. So the murder mystery plot was planned from the beginning. So the killer's identity was the same throughout the entire time.
If you watch from the very beginning, like when we first started watching it, I was like, I think it's Aaron Eccles.
Mm-hmm.
And then they gave us so many red herrings that I was like, okay,
yeah,
like I
could lost along the way.
I could play. I'm used to being wrong because I talked to my mother.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, it can't be that.
My instincts are always wrong.
So they were figuring out, week to week how to do that. So it was always going to be Aaron Eccles. The reveal almost didn't happen because he was unavailable to shoot the finale at the time because he was going to be going to shoot a movie in Australia, but decided instead that he was going to like stick around and like shoot this finale.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it almost didn't happen for this season 1. And I think we've talked about before that like Logan was never planned originally to be the love interest.
Mm-hmm.
But then like grew over time because he was Jason Doring, absolutely engaging and super charismatic. And just them bouncing off each other is so good.
Do you want to hear? So I read this online the other day. I think it's on Wikipedia. So take it as you will.
Mm-hmm.
That it's actually, I'm pretty sure it's quote unquote fact that he auditioned for the role of Duncan.
Yes.
And was too dark. And they were like, oh, like we think you should be Logan. And then they had him read a scene as Duncan.
Mm-hmm.
Like to like test read with Kristen Bell, and he read it as if Duncan had been the one that raped her. And just like this creepy dark version of Duncan. And they were like, no, we don't want you for this, but like stick around.
Right.
And I think that's why his character at the very beginning, you're just like, ugh, like fuck him, and then like they make him really lovable.
And he was only supposed to be in that pilot.
Yeah, well, I think that, and then it was like him and like the bum fights. Like he was never supposed to keep going, and then it was like, oh,
right. No, but like Logan was never. They were originally not planning him after episode 1.
Mm-hmm. But they just kept dragging him on in, and they have really great chemistry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Unimpeachable as the correct relationship.
Yes,
As much as I loved Leo, I mean, he didn't make my favorite characters list, but.
I know.
You know.
But would he make your favorite relationships list? He's not like a key relationship. He's a frivolous one.
Yeah.
He's for fun.
He is. I love Leo and I love him when he's on screen, but he's not a make or break.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's season 1 then.
All right. Well, plugs?
Plugs. Yes.
Plugs. You can find me. I'm like, who am I?
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Just like Duncan.
It's one of your fits.
Oh God, no. That's so problematic, and I hate it.
It's awful. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
It was
there.
Yeah,
it was low hanging fruit.
Yeah. Don't always pick it. That's a cautionary tale.
Say about our noses too. Wash your hands. There's a deadly virus out there. Why are you laughing?
I don't know. It's just like this. Hey, just wash your hands. There's a deadly virus, guys.
Practicing for my time on the news.
I see.
I'm like Meg.
It just sounded like you were just like throwing it off, just like, hey guys, I mean, there's a virus. Like,
I mean, we all know it's there now.
Yes. It was just very off.
It's not secret.
It was just very cash and off the cuff that made me laugh.
I'm making coronavirus casual because I've
been wearing my Corona casuals.
Oh my God. It's just your boxers.
Exactly.
No, but I mean, when we let fear take over, that's when things get bad. Not to don't do something stupid and act like it's because you're acting in a way that you're not fearful, because it is scary and you're allowed to be fearful and scared, and all of those emotions are valid, but don't sit in your house and obsess either. Take some media breaks, like stop looking at Twitter during the day, or like maybe like only read like one news article about it a day, or like like set yourself some time limits because there's a lot out there and it's really damaging.
Yeah.
But back to plugs. You can find me on butreallythough.com, though spelled THO. I post blogs. I am a life, career, personal development coach. I can help you do things like plan what you want to do with this time during the pandemic, if anything at all. You're also, you know, totally entitled to just taking this time to yourself. I also post videos on YouTube at But Really Though, no spaces, and I post free coaching videos. So some of the concepts I've come up with or tips and tricks I have are all available on there. So check them out.
Oh, and you can find us at Mars Rewatch on Twitter and Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Pile Breton and clearing my throat, and on YouTube at Burger Discourse. And you can write into our email at marsrewatch@gmail.com.
Yeah, send us questions, comments, concerns, what you liked, what you didn't like. Any
Right.
sort of feedback is welcome.
Yeah, what you ate.
Yeah. Are you eating dinner right now? What are you having?
What do you like? What's your favorite food? If you're gonna be coming over, we gotta be able to have it ready.
Do you
for
want Brenton to send you some cookies?
Ooh, yeah.
So
Don't send your address.
yeah, please remember, unless you actually know us, we're strangers. So
Yes.
stranger danger. Like stop, drop, and roll. These are the 2 rules we know.
2 rules, people.
All right. Well, stay toasted, marshmallows.